And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Suzanne Christenson, who during her near-death experience felt connected to everything, and today we're going to learn about it. Suzanne, thank you for joining me on the podcast, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, Suzanne, if you don't mind, let's start on the day that your NDE happened and go from there.
All right. So, as I was saying earlier, it might be a trigger warning for some people. But I had gotten into an argument with an ex of mine. I was 18 years old at the time. And he ended up choking me on his bed downstairs. And within seconds, I felt like I had literally popped out of my body. And I instantly felt connected to like literally everything that's out there. Like just everything. And just a sense of like bliss and peace. And and the colors too, like it was colors like I've never seen them before. It was light and dark, and it was all the colors and more, like all like flashing all at once. And I've never known peace in my entire life like I did that day. And as soon as I thought, wow, this is so much better than being with him, I literally just felt myself be pulled like at the core of me, like my stomach is where it felt like. I didn't feel like I had any skin while I was over there, but I felt like being pulled like in the middle of my stomach. And I remember just feeling like I was on a roller coaster and it was just kind of purple and black. And I felt myself just come through like the top of my body, like with a bang. And it didn't hurt, but it just all of a sudden I was back in my body. And I was on the ground. And I just remember getting up and gasping. And my ex just like looked at me like he was seeing a ghost. And he ended up bawling and just hugging me. And I was in shock for that day afterward. It was just kind of crazy, but I've had a lot of other things happen since then. And about 6 to 9 months after that, I had a really bad car accident. And I was going 65 miles an hour in the left lane. And I saw all the cars in front of me merging to the right. Like they're all getting out of the way of something. And as soon as they all clear out, I can see there's a pile up of cars ahead of me. Well, and I live in Minnesota, and this was the wintertime, and it was like snowing and sleeting and slushy out, and I just wanted to go hang out with my friends. And my parents, like beforehand, were just so adamant about me not leaving. And I'm like, well, I'm 18, I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do. You can't stop me. And anyway, 65 miles an hour, and I can't merge over with the rest of the cars. Like, I'm trying to brake, trying to do my emergency brake. I'm trying to pump the brakes. I'm trying to do something to slow down. I'm turning my wheel, and my wheels aren't doing anything. And I rear-ended into the end of the pileup of cars. And then I did like a 180, and I T-boned the guy that he was T-boned to. And as soon as like that first impact happened, I literally had felt like someone was hugging me. Like I just felt like held up. And I literally felt like I was floating through the whole experience. And I know a lot of people, like they say, well, you're in shock and time slows down. Like it was on another level. Like time, I've never experienced time like that ever in my life. Until then. But as soon as I got done smashing into the cars, I was just kind of like gripping my wheel, and I kind of came to, or feeling like normal again, I guess, when the guy I had originally rear-ended came up to my car and asked me, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And he was like, "Well, get out of the car." I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea," and got out, and my car was totaled, but I had no mark on me, and my airbag did not deploy, and I don't have anything to explain that away. I've seen videos of cars smashing even at 45 miles an hour or 50, anything below what I did, and you are left with marks and bruises, and it's just not pretty. So I just feel like I've always had like a foot in the door ever since I was a little kid, but these two experiences really, I feel, catapulted my own spirituality and the way I understand life as it is now, with all these realms that I feel like we're attached to all at the same time, and they're just a thought away.
Suzanne, thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Who do you think was the being that was holding you during your NDE?
Honestly, I'm going to say it's my mom's best friend who had passed away. It was maybe 2.5 weeks after she had passed away. And she was the first person that I thought of. Like, while I was in the car accident itself, I was just so shocked by that floating feeling. And once I got my first few breaths and got out of the car, I just could not stop thinking about her. And she was like a second mom to me. And I know she's came to me in a few other ways as well. But yeah, I've never thought it was anybody but her.
Has she come to you in dreams?
Not dreams, but let me see. So like, I have a story, but there's a little bit of a background to it just for it to kind of hit home. She was really into playing Words with Friends at the time. And she played to the max of 20 people. And she ended up beating somebody, so she had to slot for another person. And I had told her, well, I want to play with you. And so we get on there, we're just playing Words with Friends and anything and everything. I'm so sorry. But yeah, she's just whipping my butt. And let me see. So I don't know. I guess the Words with Friends is besides the point. But anyway, so it was like I was playing Words with Friends with her one night, and she was up at like 6 a.m. the next day. And for some reason at this time in my life, for the past few nights, I could not fall asleep until like 8 or 9 in the morning. And there was no reason for it. Like, I completely stopped drinking coffee. I wasn't drinking. Like, I wasn't doing anything. I was 18, almost 19 at the time. And yeah, she, I don't know, I just couldn't sleep. And it was the weirdest thing, and it was driving me crazy. Well, 2 days after she had passed away, it was like 3:43 in the morning, and I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching Bewitched. I'm like 3/4 of the way through with the movie. And I look at the clock, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost 4 o'clock. Like, I wish I could just go to sleep. And I'm laying on my side, like with my arm, like propping my head up. And all of a sudden it felt like somebody just pushed my chest in and just kind of pushed me over. And all of a sudden my eyes were shut and I cannot move my body. But I'm very conscious of like what's going on. And I just felt like I was getting the biggest hug from my mom's friend who had passed away. And it was just cool because I had talked to her about it just days prior. She just thought it was weird I was up when she woke up. And so yeah, and at the time my dad was really worried about the electricity bill I was like, I gotta shut the TV off. And all of a sudden I could move my right arm and pick up the remote and turn it off. And I just said, thank you. And I knocked out instantly. And when I woke up the next morning, I kid you not, that was the best night of sleep I've ever had in my entire life. It was so awesome. So, and she's come to other people in her family, shortly after she died. And I'm sure there's been times now, but it just never felt, that hug just made me feel like she's never going to be gone.
During either one of your experiences, did you see your body?
So the first one I did. So after I was coming down, or felt like I was coming back down, I saw the ceiling open, and we were in the basement of my house. And I didn't see the room that's above that, which is the dining room, but I saw where my ex was, and I saw where my body was laying on the ground. And I just went straight to my body, and I just felt like I came through my head. So, but that's the only time I ever saw myself was when I was coming back. It was very quick, and I didn't necessarily talk to anybody on the other side, but I know I was there. So, and I can't prove it to anybody, but the look of shock on his face when I came back kind of said it all.
How have you changed since your experiences?
I've started meditating a lot more, especially in more recent years. And I originally started watching a lot of near-death experiences on YouTube, and I never really thought that I had a near-death experience per se. I knew my experience was something else, but I didn't know what to call it. And yeah, so once I came back down, I'd kind of heard, oh yeah, I died, and oh, it'd be cool if I could find somebody that had something like me. Well, I found 2 different videos of somebody who had pretty much verbatim the same experience that I did. And, they didn't talk to a lot of people on the other side or anybody, but it was very quick, but it was just very profound for them. And it's just always instilled this curiosity in me about what else is there. And I've also gotten into spiritual healing. I started with myself. It's kind of like Reiki, but I call it, or it's called reconnection energy healing. And Eric Pearl kind of coined the term, but Dolores Cannon, she's kind of talked about it as well, the quantum healing. And yeah, that in and of itself, I was watching all those near-death experiences, and this video of Everyday Masters is the channel, and it's Case Parks, and he teaches people how to feel these frequencies. And I just tried it out one day, and I was alone in my car, and I am just, well, I'll either feel something or I'll just kind of feel silly that I tried this. And it felt euphoric in my hands as I was trying to connect to these frequencies. And that really jump-started where I'm at now. So, and I've done healings for people either in my house or at theirs, and I haven't done it for money yet, but it's been beautiful every time. The experiences people can have because we both put forth just the time and attention really opens up a lot of doors for people, myself included.
Since your experiences, have you noticed that you have any new abilities that you haven't had before?
I have seen spirit since I was little, but it's not all the time. It's not I see a bunch of dead people walking around, the Sixth Sense necessarily. But I've seen orbs and apparitions, and I have had a few visionary dreams. But after my near-death experiences, I feel it just opened up the door to to more experiences, like, because now it's almost every day where something's happening, or maybe I see like an orb flying around someone, or I just get like a very empathetic like feeling about what's about to happen, and it's true. And life, I'm not saying it's predictable, but I'm saying like it's just everything feels like it makes more sense the more I've delved into like meditations and getting my own spiritual healings, and I just feel disconnected more and more as time goes on.
You mentioned that it started when you were a little kid. Is it possible you had some type of NDE or some kind of event that started it?
I'm not sure about anything about when I was younger. I know when I was born, I was over 2 weeks overdue, and I had lost weight, and I was also born with pneumonia, and they didn't feed me for like 3 days. But I never had any like traumatic, life-changing experience as like a little kid. I don't think.
Okay.
But I remember laying in my bed with the gate on the side so I wouldn't spill out of it, and I had a toy that I put away on my shelf in my closet, and right after my parents tucked me into bed, it flew off of the shelf. Like, it was in the middle of my floor. Even if it had fallen, like, there's no way it would have been pushed so close to me. And that's like the first thing I can ever remember happening, like paranormal wise.
Do you think you caused it to come down or another entity did?
I feel like another entity did, just because, like, I remember putting my toys away that day, which is just very strange, but I remember that day so vividly. And I'm like 4 years old or something at this point. But I put that specific toy touching the wall of the back of the closet. And I had level shelves, like nothing else fell down. We didn't even have cats at that time. And it was there the whole time. And it was like a few minutes after my parents had laid me down to bed that it just flew off.
Has the memory of your NDEs faded?
No. Honestly, I really feel like not only my NDEs, but other experiences that I have, when I come back to them, like, they are so crystal clear. I'm 29 now. My near-death experience happened when I was 18. And I remember every moment, like, without a doubt. Like, it's ingrained.
Do you fear death at all?
No, I don't now. I definitely did before I died. And I dealt with some PTSD from that for like 3 years afterward.
Really?
I had EMDR therapy afterward though, and that made me feel like me again. But I could feel, or like I can take a breath of fresh air, and yeah, I'm not trying to rush my death ever, but I'm not afraid for when it happens. So it's a cool place to be.
What do you think inspires you about your NDE?
Ever since it's happened, at first I didn't tell a whole lot of people, but man, as time has gone on, like, I just feel like it's so important to get it out there. And I feel like it's so important to share with others that these things happen to just everyday people. Had I not listened to other people sharing their own stories, I would have never been able to put together the pieces in my own. Just to give it a name, being able to verbalize the things that have happened and that continue to happen. the more that we share and the more that we get this stuff out there, I feel like more people are willing to come out with their own stories. I feel like this is my truth, and I feel like it's a lot of other people's as well, all over the globe. So yeah, anyone who wants to hear, they can hear it.
Have you told your friends and family about your experiences? And if so, how did they react?
I've told some people, like, I'm sure for like my immediate family, that was not fun to hear. It wasn't fun to share with them necessarily that happened.
Yeah.
But, with every person that I tell, like, I could say that's the worst day of my life, but that was the best day of my life. Like, being over on the other side in heaven, that is something I get to carry with me every single day. And I get to just so vividly think about what it was like to be there. And I love that. That's my happy place. Like, that's just a thought that puts me at ease, as strange as it may sound. I don't really focus on how I got there at this point in time, but I've shared with a lot of my close friends, like all of them, my boyfriend, even one of my cats, Homie, he definitely sees stuff too. And it's been really cool to be living with him and my boyfriend and our other cat too, but he doesn't seem entertained by much necessarily. But me and Homie have seen orbs together, just floating in the room, and me and him, our heads are doing the same exact thing, looking at it. And it's so cool to see, like, my boyfriend watch us watching the same thing, even though he might not be able to see it sometimes, but he's seen his own things too. So I feel like I have a lot of support, like it felt like I kind of came out in a sense with all these things, but at some point I just had to spill it out. And a lot of other people kind of have their own experiences, and I have a couple friends that maybe don't really experience things like that, but then they do. Like, they don't know what to call it though.
Out of the things that continue to happen to you since then, what is the most profound thing that's happened to you?
So I would say, like, anytime I've ever gotten a healing, an energy healing, the first time, I would say for sure, the person that was performing the Reiki on me, I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I saw green, yellow, and purple, like, mist within my mind's eye. But then I also saw my friend who was doing it. And then I saw a spirit, like, behind them that was all white. And I could make out their arms and their head and their legs. My friend looked darker in color, but I knew it was them. And then, there was this entity behind them, and I just had the full sense that they were helping my friend heal me. And I saw a picture later on, and if I ever find it, I will share it with you, but it's been years since I've seen it. But I saw, like, that is kind of how Reiki or energy healing works, is that we're just a vessel for other, entities or Jesus or spirit guides or aliens, whoever. There's so many different beings and entities out there. It'd be impossible to name them all. But yeah, doing those healings for other people as well have really just been so profound. Experiencing something at the same time as another person, you can't call that crazy,
Where are you currently, religiously or spiritually?
I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school until I was in 8th grade. And I saw spirits while I was in church, and they never talked about that in class. I don't know. Like, I think Buddha has a lot of really wonderful teachings. But I just generally say that I'm just very spiritual because I don't really know. It's so many things. I don't know what name to put on it, I guess. Maybe, I don't know if agnostic would be the right term. Like where you pull from different things.
Maybe you just believe in God, or since you've been on the other side, maybe a source energy.
Yeah, like I believe that there's creator God, and Jesus, and I believe in the angels and the saints, but I've also experienced other things. Like I've seen like Native American spirits, and I've seen like Indian totem poles, and I've seen like Chinese dragons, and and then I've seen like fairy spirits, and I've seen humanoid looking spirits, I've seen aliens, I've seen UFOs. I'm just open, is I guess how I could say. I'm just very open.
How do you usually see these different spirits?
There's a lot of times where I, like, especially when I'm doing a healing on people, but even just during meditation, I will see or hear or feel, very rarely taste. But a lot of times I get like a vision in my mind's eye. And it's like a movie clip. Like it's so clear and crisp. Like it's like a stamp or a sticker almost, like just popping out. But then there's times where like I see things like, with my cat, we're just in the room and all of a sudden there's an orb zipping by and we're both looking at it. I've seen apparitions of like full bodied spirits, like when I was in church, when I was a lot younger during school. I was sitting like on the opposite side of the altar and there's a door like going outside, and all of a sudden I saw like what looked like an all gray but like fully detailed Franciscan monk, and he was in a monk garb and he had a rosary bead belt, and this guy is just floating above the door, and as soon as the door entrance was over with, like he just disappeared just as fast as he came. But it comes in all different things. Like I've even seen images in like tree branches driving by, like an eye, like looking, like just driving by a bunch of trees, like going up north, and there's just a vision of, or just looked like an eye was perfectly shaped out of these branches. It was very bizarre, and then when you drive past it, like you don't see that again, Even I feel like animals send messages, or butterflies. Just when you're thinking about stuff and it's just, the timing is so perfect.
It appears that you had some abilities before your NDE, like seeing spirits and stuff. Do you think that your NDE increased that ability?
Yes. I think I hindered a lot of maybe what I could have seen, but I was so, growing up, I was just afraid, in all honesty, because my family wasn't talking about things they were seeing or experiencing, and nobody else was really. And so I just felt like I had to be hush hush, and I would just say in my head, please just go away and leave me alone. And after my near-death experience, I'm not saying like I'm summoning anyone who wants to come talk to me, but anyone who's willing to help me for my highest good, y'all can come on by. And man, it gives me goosebumps. Like just inviting that in changed everything. Like, but that changed for me because I experienced near death. And yeah.
Why do you think your near-death experience caused that to change?
Because I couldn't deny it. Like, but it just blew my mind. And like I said earlier, I didn't tell a whole lot of people about it, but I couldn't leave it alone, and I had to do my own exploration, and it just made this drive in me to get this out there.
You mentioned that you had PTSD. Was that because of the actual car accident or the experience?
I got PTSD from being choked. So the first one. And yeah, I would just wake up with night terrors almost every single night. And someone would be like, I can't remember anything specific except for somebody was coming after me. And yeah, it was just rough waking up every morning from a night terror. I just felt exhausted all the time. But I got EMDR therapy, and I highly suggest that to anybody who is experienced PTSD. I had other symptoms, but.
And that's called EMDR therapy?
Yep.
What do you do in that therapy?
For mine specifically, I was sitting on the couch, and I was to talk about the full experience, start to finish, like before and after. And I could set like these electrical nodes, and they would vibrate. They were like this tall, or this big, sorry. And I would put them outside of my ankle, but inside of my shoe. And those would hit like the hippocampus and the thalamus, I believe, are the two parts in the brain that have to do with emotions and memory. And so PTSD, you have a traumatic memory, and you just feel like you don't have, like your circuits aren't meeting each other on the other side. And so as these vibrations are happening, for me and my ankles, I could feel myself wanting to like cry all of a sudden without having a reason to cry at that point. It just like hit that nerve, that pressure point. And yeah, we would talk, like I would just say, I'm okay now, like I'm safe now, essentially, after I talked about the traumatic incident. And I was able to really soak that in for myself, but I'd done so much cognitive therapy, and just adding this one element, I was able to like release it. It felt like I had 20 pounds come off of my chest, and my therapist at the time said she had never seen anyone react the way that I did. But I just started laughing like uncontrollably for like 10 minutes, like crying, laughing. And she's like, well, good for you. I'm glad you're having a good time getting that off of you. And that day it's amazing. I remember what it felt like to feel the way that I did before that happened. 180, just a 180 difference. So
that's fantastic.
Highly recommend for anyone.
What do you think inspires you about your experiences?
How much they've helped. I feel like, I might not be seeing things 24/7, but when I see things or experience things, it's to help out. Whether I know it right in that moment or a week or two later on, like, wow, I'm really glad I had that little insight. Or, sometimes it just feels like I get like a thought in my head, and it just doesn't feel organic like my own do. And if I follow that little bit of advice, it's normally the best thing to do. There's been times where I'm on the road and like, oh, I should merge over to the right. I don't know why. It's just like a weird feeling all of a sudden I get. And then there's like a car accident that just almost happened because somebody's speeding by, and I just moved out in the nick of the time. And it's just little things like that. Or maybe I'm trying to find something, and I just feel like I'm getting help with it, So whatever it may be super small like that, or it might be really profound, like, I don't know, it just depends. I have seen Jesus while I was driving though at some point. That was really amazing.
How did that happen?
I was listening to somebody's near-death experience in my car, and I was just in a really emotional, like, kind of rut. Like, I just didn't know what it was I didn't know what I was missing, but I just felt like very negative, and I just wasn't in a good place in my head. And I'm listening to this chick on YouTube, and she's talking about when she died, she met this man on the other side, didn't know at first, but then it was Jesus. And they're talking, and she's explaining this wonderful experience she's having. And I'm just driving along, it's dark at night, and I'm thinking, God, I wish I could just talk to him. Like, it would help. That's all I need. Big wish right there, but as I'm driving, I literally I felt like I went on autopilot in a sense, like physically, but I saw Jesus's face and his arm pointing out at me, like where my steering wheel is. And he's pointing out, and he reaches out and touches my heart. And I literally just felt like just shattering, like just this hardness. I just didn't feel hard anymore. I felt soft again, if that makes sense. In an instant I did, and I just knew that was so real. And then 2 days after that had happened, I'm talking to somebody else about what had happened, and I saw Jesus, and she was like, Jesus touched your heart and changed it from stone and turned it into flesh. And there's a Bible verse for it, but he did that to me in that moment. And that was about 1.5 years ago, maybe more than that. Yeah, I haven't once gotten back to that state of mind either. That was just a funk season in life, essentially. And yeah, it brought me to where I needed to be, because I didn't know how to get there at that point in time.
After watching this podcast, people may want to contact you and ask you questions. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone who would love to talk about it, it's my favorite thing to chat about. So, and I love hearing other people's stories too. I just think they're all amazing and wonderful in their own ways.
How should they reach you?
You can reach me. I'll do email right now. And yeah, we'll do that for now. But that's Suzanne Christenson at yahoo.com. So would you be able to put that in the links, or should I spell it out?
I'll put it in the description.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Do you have anything you want to share with anybody, like a website or a Facebook page?
Let me see. We could do my YouTube page as well. I don't have any videos up on it yet, but it's something I would love to be working on in the very near future. I do want to get more public and just kind of have get on a more broader base, like social medias. So definitely starting with YouTube.
Send me the link to your YouTube channel, and then I'll put it in the description.
All right, I will do that. If anyone wants to be essentially a guinea pig for doing some remote healings, I would love to do that as well, and they can contact me.
All right, let me
there as well before I get fully out there, I guess, because I do want to start this as a business at some point. But I would just love to do it just to do it.
Let me let you know about this. Do you know what Discord is?
I've heard you talk about it.
So Discord is kind of like a private Facebook where you can post videos, and you can video chat, audio chat, you can write jokes, memes, whatever. And I have 3 separate rooms, and one is a room for people who do services, kind of like what you do. And so what I do is, for anybody who wants to practice and will do it for free, you just join Discord, and then you put in there, hey, if you want a free remote healing, I want to work on my skills, let me know. And then people will say, yeah, I'd love to get one, or whatever. So you may want to join that, and that way you can connect with people.
Yeah, if you could maybe send me that link, I would love to do that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So all you have to do is go to discord.com and get like your own free profile, and then contact me and I'll send you the link, and then you can join up.
Okay.
You will already be joined, but you can get into my server.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that opportunity.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, before we finish up, can you give us one last positive message?
I guess, even just to be open to things, like turn off your judgment for just a moment, maybe. And whenever you find like you really could use it, when you feel like maybe you're making things harder for yourself, and just kind of let life happen. Let it happen to you. Be a part of that flow. So, because amazing things happen when I let go of just trying to be in control of things, and I just invited all that's good to happen. My life changed, and it continues to change in the most positive ways.
Suzanne, thank you for that message, and thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, and I wish you the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.